All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Greedy Keeps. Today I'm here with one of our most exciting guests so far, Alan, also known as Mental Misplay, also known as Ramp Gang, also known as Still Plays Meren. And today we're going to be discussing Meren of the Clan Nel Toth. I'm going to let you introduce the commander and introduce yourself. Go ahead, Alan.
So what's up, guys? Ramp Gang, Mental Misplay. You know the deal. We out here, Brooklyn represent. We bring the smoke. Thank you, Braden, for having me on. First of all, I'm based out of Brooklyn. People a lot of times are like confused with the branding. You know, are you Ramp Gang? Are you Mental Misplay? And what it comes down to is, my name is Alan. I I kind of represent Ramp Gang. Ramp Gang is the players. Mental Misplay is the stream. That's where you can catch some of the gang and other assorted guests. So that breaks down all the branding and all that shit real quick. I didn't ask about language. Sorry about that.
You're
Um,
good.
so in any case, so I've become known for playing this Meren deck, and it's recently been kind of blown up a little bit just because of the wonderful Rebel and their video showing that I still play Meren, which I think is amazing. It's been something that I've rocked since the very first time I picked up a commander deck. I picked it up as a precon, and you know the deal. Just the arms race happens within your play group, and I said, you know what? Let's just lean into full degeneracy, and just kept powering this thing up and powering it up, and it just always was my go-to for hanging at the big kids table, so to speak. So the line is pretty simple. It's not your standard Honor Brew Meren. It's not your standard Raza Hulk list, the Life Death line or anything. This relies on a dusty old combo. This is a
Yeah.
Triskelion Devourer Necrotic Ooze combo. And I love that combo because, one, it's transparent. You see it coming a mile away. So like when I have to go for it, it's full send. It's all or nothing. So I'm just like, okay, well, time to load up the shotgun and see if anybody's got the riot shield right now. For those of you who don't know how it works, it revolves around having a Triskelion or a Walking Ballista in the graveyard, and a Phyrexian Devourer in the graveyard as well, and a Necrotic Ooze on board. The Necrotic Ooze gets the abilities of those two creatures in the graveyard, so I can exile cards off the top of my library to add 1/1 counters to the Necrotic Ooze, and then take them off to bring out the lawnmower and take the whole table down. Um, the beautiful thing about it to me is that once that Necrotic Ooze is on the table, there are so few things that can stop that from happening. Because you can just keep activating it on the
Yeah.
stack, right?
You can
Like,
if they go to kill it, you can just mill yourself for more to put more counters
yep,
on it. And then
you
yeah.
can just put them back on, take them right off. Just pew pew pew. Okay, and so there are instances where like you have to very carefully sequence it. So if somebody does have removal, and I take out one person first and then aim it at the second person, and they say I kill it, then I have to kind of like stack it differently. It becomes very convoluted. But it's still one of those things where I can just add them up and point them at one person. So what I've learned very specifically is when it's time to play it out, do it one at a time. I put one counter on, I take it off. Bap! I put one counter on, I take it off. Bap! Until the whole table is gone.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
so it makes building a CEDH deck incredibly delicate because the combo relies on having a fluffed out total CMC in the deck, right? Because I need to exile 120 CMC worth of cards in order to deal that 120 damage. So if I put too many low CMC cards in the deck, then I don't
Yeah,
have
that's
120 CMC to kill everybody,
it's
right?
very
So that's a
awkward.
problem. Um, if I play a Necropotence and put 20 life into it, there's a good chance I've only got 90 CMC worth of cards left in the deck. I'm in trouble. Then I have to start going for plan B, plan C, which are like a real trashy Hulk line or just Mike and Trike in there. Um, so it's a really fun combo. I really like it. There are a couple enablers for it. And the rest of the deck is just filled out with like some solid interaction, some I call it like a light stacks package because I've really toned down the stacks package over the years. It used to have all your Thorn of Amethysts and
Yeah, I
your.
remember that.
I recently took out Trinisphere, just because I found that it was holding me back more often than not. You know, if I want to play a dark ritual, like I guess I can, eat my own butt instead if I've got that Trinisphere out there. So recently I've just relied on like some very, very key and honestly soul crushing stacks pieces. And Braden, you got to look through the list, so you saw what they are.
Yeah, there's like a chains in there. There's what's the one that says spells get countered unless they pay 3? What was
Yeah,
that?
chains is super clutch. And then yeah, there's a Nether Void in there which like is always on my possibly cut list until like the one game where I'm like I'm gonna cut it, and then I play it and it wins me the game, or like allows me to get to the state where it wins the game. Nether Void is one of those that I'm always on the fence about, and then it'll like show up and be like, no, I got you. We're gonna make everybody pay this time.
All right.
And then like my favorite is Root Maze. Root Maze, it's become an in joke. When
Oh,
going first, I will aggressively mull to a Root Maze just to like play it. Turn one Root Maze, turn one go first Root Maze hurts so bad. And it's sometimes it hurts me, sometimes it'll like end up hurting me. So like if I'm going second and I have a Root Maze in hand and somebody goes before me, and they put out 3 mana rocks, I'll keep that Root Maze real tight until exactly the right time to play it. Because you
yeah.
don't want to play it second when somebody's got 3 mana rocks out,
It
because
it's
you're going to be 7 turns behind them.
yeah. I found that roommates is really good against dockside. Like it is,
Yeah, it
it
is.
is so crushing actually to play when you like play a dockside into the roommate. You're like, all right, well, I hope I get another turn, or
Yep.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
And that's why Manglehorn's in there as well. Manglehorn is so clutch.
Yeah,
And Manglehorn is I believe it's one-sided as well. I'd have to
yeah.
double
It's
check.
opponents. ETB,
Yeah.
you destroy an artifact, then it's your opponent's stuff enters artifacts
Uh,
enter tapped.
so clutch.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, that's the rundown.
yeah. All right, and you mentioned a Hulk package. Is it a Delver? Is it like sack Hulk, get Delver in a sack outlet, get back Hulk, get back
Get back
Macias
up,
and
Mike and
Ballista?
Ball. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. All right, that's
So
sick.
like Delver is like I hate to see it. I hate to draw it. But like in a pinch, it is recursion.
Yeah, it
Like
is. It is a reanimation spell, and it and a body, which can be important. And it's really cool if you already have Mike in play, I guess, because you can just like sack it, attack with it, or sack it, get another thing back, or maybe
yep.
even just build the combo out. Because you could play. I guess you could like play Delver, get back Macias, sack the Delver, get back Ballista, win. Like that's like actually kind of feasible. So yeah, it is interesting.
I love having Mike in this deck because it's again, it's a dusty old combo, but in Meren specifically, as a value card, it's immense. Being able to so last night I had a game where I had a mind slaver out, and I had something to sacrifice the mind slaver to, and I had a Macias. So I had a Mindslaver lock on the table, and I mean it was backed up with the Oran Frostfang, so I was drawing 3 cards a turn and making everybody sacrifice their
That
hands.
card is
Uh,
sick. Orange
it was
Frostfang.
Frostfang is a house. Like that card is a MVP right now
There's
for
a.
me.
Have you seen the Malcolm Tana deck?
No,
It plays Tana and Neoform, and then it plays Tana, attacks with Tana, makes Saprolings, and then Neoforms the Tana to get Orin Frostfang, and then attacks with the Saprolings to draw cards. It's pretty sick.
that's so clutch.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
Uh,
I was thinking we should get into the mulligans, get into the greedy
of
keeps.
course.
So starting out with this one, Carpet of Flowers, Polluted Delta, Survival of the Fittest, Lana Roves, Yawgmoth's Will, Overgrown Tomb, Mana Confluence. What do you think of this one?
Snap keep, no questions.
All
I
right.
saw that hand and I was like, hell yes.
All right.
That hand is Carpet of Flowers into survival, into I'm going for it. By turn 4, I'm trying to have so that's like
Because
Yeah.
you can assemble the combo using survival of the fittest by just
So,
discarding ballista, discarding uh, the Phyrexian guy, then discarding,
yep.
then getting necrotic ooze and winning the game. So
Yep. So with this, and what I love about it is, so this, because I'm not starting with one of the combo pieces in hand, I'm not starting with a Devourer, I'm not starting with a Walking Ballista in hand. Um, I'm gonna have to use extra mana on the survival. So like this is a turn 2 survival, and then I've got a green mana floating. If as long as somebody played an island, right?
yeah,
So with the so it's turn 1 Carpet of Flowers, turn 2 survival and an open green mana. End of turn 2, I can get it started. I ship the Llanowar Elves and go
yeah.
get a Walking Ballista. Uh,
If you draw any creature off the top here too, you can also go turn one carpet into a turn one Llanowar Elves if you're in the right spot on turn order, and then on
yeah,
turn two you do all the work, and then on turn three you win. So
yeah. It's just a matter of having the 2 black mana and 2 other mana, and then you play the Necrotic Ooze, and it's off to the races. I flip,
yeah,
start
and
flipping
that's
cards.
actually a pretty difficult combo to interact with. You have to uh, kill the survival the turn it comes out, or actually I don't think you have to counter the survival the turn it comes out, or you have to counter the necrotic ooze, and
So,
those are two card like it's actually kind of hard to counter an enchantment on turn two. Like a lot of counter spells can't hit enchantments, and then on turn three, you can't use removal. You have to counter the necrotic ooze. A lot of decks can't counter a creature very consistently, so it's not too bad.
I run into a lot of graveyard removal, so like people will go get a Noxious Revival and put one of the pieces back on top of the library, which really hurts, or just exile the graveyard. And now, of course, we've got the new threat of Opposition Agent. So God forbid I pitch a creature and somebody goes and just takes my combo piece away.
Yeah, that is pretty spooky. Uh, that's not where you want to be.
No, but the other problem with this is if I want to get the combo going early, I have to do one piece at a time. So that turn 2, uh, end of turn before my turn 3, I ship the Llanowar Elf to go get a Walking Ballista. I still have to ship Walking Ballista um and the Phyrexian Devourer. So that's 2 mana on turn 3 that I'm using, and I probably don't have 4 more mana to hard cast the
Yeah,
Necrotic Ooze. So
if you draw another creature, it gets way easier, right? Because then
yeah,
you can play the mana dork.
and if somebody's like playing a ton of islands, then it's
Yeah. So
chef's kisses,
yeah,
right?
then this hand does have outs. It does have it can develop.
Yep.
So we're keeping this one. Let's go to the next one. Yawgmoth's Will, Reanimate, Wishclaw Talisman, Allosaur Shepherd, Oakham Adversary, Elves of Deep Shadow Strip Mine. This is not a good one,
Nope.
right?
Nope, that's about as bad as it gets. Just so something I run into a lot of times with this deck is getting color screwed. Straight because I've got a couple of lands in there that produce colorless and are lands that work to an effect. So like Phyrexian Tower, High Market, Strip Mine, uh, Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, and there's one more, Volrath Stronghold. That's 7 lands that make colorless. I end up in trouble, and I'm running 30 lands. That's a lot of times that I get color screwed. So expect that to happen a lot. I really have to really carefully think about what I can actually cast when I play this
Yeah.
deck.
When you're mulliganing, you really have to consider like what lands you have.
Hmm.
All right, second 7. Fleshbag Marauder, Phyrexian Tower, Reanimate, Walking Ballista, Reflecting Pool, Soul Ring, Forest.
Yeah, that's a keep for sure. That's an early Meren, which I love, and then Ballista played for 0 lets me start accruing experience counters. Uh, so I'd probably go Meren first. So that's a turn 2 Meren, and then a turn 3 Fleshbag or a turn 3 Walking Ballista played as removal. God forbid it's a turn 3 a turn 2 Meren, a turn 3 Fleshbag Marauder, and then reanimate the Fleshbag Marauder if I've
If you have
so
to.
So like that's two like it's yeah, there's and then the Fleshback Marauder's back in hand at end of that anyway, so I can do it again. So this is a grind. This is not a combo win, but this is its value and its heavy attrition for sure. So
Yeah.
I
Also, reanimate can just steal a creature. So if someone like mills like a Gilded Drake or a Dockside or something, that's also like
yep,
something that could totally reasonably happen in a game of CDH.
yep.
All right.
Yeah, reanimate. It's a sorcery which always breaks my heart, but it does, main phase taking somebody's like wonky creature, like if something else more dangerous or scary is out there and I can reanimate it, like good. I'm pumped about that too.
Yeah.
But
All right.
usually, honestly, I'll hold that reanimate super tight because reanimate to me is a combo piece. If I can get a buried alive and a reanimate off, I'm pumped
What
about
do
it.
you do there if you have the reanimate and the buried alive? Is it just
That's
Soulgorn
buried alive.
or
What's that?
what's the pile for buried alive?
Buried alive is just Necrotic Ooze, Devourer, and the Walking Ballista, and then
Yeah.
reanimate the Necrotic Ooze, and
Yeah, that's pretty good.
hope nobody counters it.
Do
But
you
and with Meren out there, it's reanimate the Necrotic Ooze. Somebody counters it. Okay, Necrotic Ooze in the graveyard. End of turn. Meren trigger. Necrotic Ooze in hands.
and then
Let's
next turn
try
you
it
get to go
again.
for it again? Yeah.
Yep.
So this deck
Um,
is it's not able to interact very well. It's not able to protect its combos, but it's very consistent, and I can just keep trying to go for it over and over again.
you know what I did realize now that I'm looking at it? This is not a turn two Meren unless I'm drawing a black source.
Your reflecting pool. Oh, I see. It's not an exotic orchard. Yeah.
So I'd have to. So if I wanted, I'd have to be. It would be weird. I'd have to like play the
The
walking ballista as a 1/1, and then maybe it's
sack
a turn
it.
three Meren because I've got the
Yeah.
the Phyrexian Tower to sacrifice it for black. But it's it's a weird one. But it's still keep. I'd probably keep it and then be like, oh no. Like just like we talked about, like I'd see all the possibility and then realize I was like a little bit boned out of the colors.
Yeah, I'm actually not a huge fan of reflecting pool as a land. Um, I I tend to avoid playing it just because of hands like this, right? It's like
Hmm.
usually in your deck you don't need. I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes you need like triple black or triple blue and like a Niv Mizzet deck or something like that. But I feel like a lot of the time you're trying to fix for a single color, right? Like especially in green decks where you're like, if I make green, I can then usually make the rest of my colors, or if I can make black, I can usually make the rest of my colors, like by tutoring or some other effect. So
It's probably a smart idea to put in the. I'm not running the bond land and I'm not running
yeah, you
uh,
should play
the
that.
Horizon land, so I
Oh,
should probably just switch
those are both great. Those are both
I
really
should,
powerful.
I should probably just switch those in instead of I've got a reflecting pool and a mana confluence. Is no, which is there's another one. It's reflecting pool and another one that makes
Exotic
mana.
Orchard.
Yeah, I've
I
got
like
that in
Exotic
there as
Orchard.
well. I thought there was another one that did reflecting pool stuff, but maybe I'm just crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should probably put those both in there.
All right. So first seven: Caustic Caterpillar, Victimized Crop Rotation, some lands, and Finhorn Elves.
Oof, two swamps is crazy. Crop rotation's not terrible. Um, this is like Meren and like it. This is like a turn one Finhorn Elf, turn two uh
You can crop rotation for
Caterpillar.
Ancient Tomb,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
have a
I
turn two Mirren, right? That
I
works out, or no, that doesn't work out.
not. It's not quite there. I usually either crop rotation for the for a cradle or I'll hang on to it for graveyard removal, for the
So
instant speed.
if you go Bayou Finhorn Elves, yeah, that's a turn two Mirren. You go Bayou Finhorn Elves. Next turn you play the Swamp. You tap the Swamp for black. You tap the Finhorn Elves for crop rotation. You get an Ancient Tomb off crop rotation. You tap it, then you can get a Mirren. So it's a turn two
No,
Mirren if you want to do that.
no, because you use the green for the crop rotation. So at that point, you're at two colorless and black.
You'll have the Bayou untapped though.
Oh,
You,
right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So turn two Marin's not bad, and then you know, and then it's you've got the mana for Caustic Caterpillar and blowing people's enchantments up or artifacts and
which is
recurring
actually pretty useful. Like you can blow up
the
some Mystic
Caterpillar.
Studies or
Hmm.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
It's a
or
little
like a
slow. There's also
what's that?
it's a little slow. It's also possible you
Yep.
just play the Finhorn elves and then play the Caustic Caterpillar on turn 2, holding it up.
Yeah,
Depends on
and
like how
then
you
like
want.
crop rotation for the cradle, and that speeds things up a little bit as far as being able to
Yeah,
play stuff.
because then
And
you can play the if you do that, then you can play the Meren and hold up Guy's Cradle to activate Caustic Caterpillar if you need to.
I would probably I might ship this hand just to like more aggressively go for some sort
Sure,
of tutor.
sure. All right, second 7. Reflecting Pool, Buried Alive, Strip Mine, Eternal Witness, Forest, Caustic Caterpillar, Collector Roof. All right, this is pretty good, right? It's a turn 2
That,
Collector Roof, turn 1 Caustic Caterpillar, and then you can blow up the Ristic Studies or whatever they play that's trying to grind them out. Once you hit your black source, you can bury it alive and hopefully reanimate it with Mirren. That's
yep,
pretty sick.
yeah, I'm not mad about that hand. I'd be wary of it because of no black source. But otherwise it's not bad. The oof and the caterpillar really do help.
Yeah,
Um, and
Caterpillar's sick. It's like really
it's
good.
it's a fun card. I mean, removal for 3 mana is a little bit
Yeah, but you get
hinky.
it back with Mirren, so
Yep.
it's like really consistent. Like if you have 6 mana up, you can play Mirren, sack the caterpillar, then get back the caterpillar. That's pretty
Yep.
cool.
It comes
It's
right
very
back onto the
grindy.
field too as she's around. So I love to see that.
Yeah, I feel like the deck is like it has this like weird tension where it's like trying to like play stack C effects and grind people out while also having to like trying to like find acceleration in tutors for your
Yep.
actual combo.
A lot
Um,
of times it really does end up where like everybody, so something that came up in the game I was playing last night, and I said it right before the game started. I was like, honestly, a big part of playing this game is laying in the cut, letting everybody else blow each other out, maybe having a key piece of removal or interaction here or there, and then just waiting till everybody's gassed out and then going for like,
yeah, that's
dusty old win. And uh and it and then exactly that thing happened that game,
yeah,
and I was,
that's
there you
like
go.
that stacks decks, especially like I feel like that's a thing that a lot of decks that are like on the fringe end of the format can do is they can play like a few like surgical stacks pieces like Collector Roof, where you're just like, hey, I need to turn off this thing so that the game goes to this length so that I can kill people. Paco kind of does that too, where it's like trying to like play a turn 2 Paco, and then if it can like counter the someone's like counter one combo piece, it can start drawing 3 cards a turn, and then you're getting so far ahead that you can kind of like it's hard to keep up. I feel like Meren, I can see that happening too, where you're like, all right, I blow up this thing, I get my Caustic Caterpillar, I get this thing, all right, someone else countered this thing, now I'm going to go for my Necrotic Ooze win.
Yep.
That seems
It's
very reasonable.
a lot of times like I really do wait until people kind of blow each other out and I see two or three or like a huge crazy stack with a wizard battle and everybody's dropping counters and it's like, okay, oh, you passed to me, let's do it. And then everybody's like top decking to try to stop me. Like if somebody
Yeah, I've seen
has
that a few times.
one counter spell left, they'll use it on me. But then I was told once a long time ago that the deck has a sense of inevitability,
Yeah,
because if I'm doing that Necrotic Ooze combo and Meren's around, the Necrotic Ooze just keeps coming back to hand.
yeah, you have
Even
to
if it's
like
getting
exile
countered.
it,
Yep.
basically, which a lot of
And
people are not running right now.
I um I ran Rift Sweeper for a long time, but I never found myself using it.
Yeah,
So
that's probably right.
now it's just got Karn in there, and Karn getting an artifact back
Hmm.
from exile has definitely gotten me back in the game a
I,
number of
have you
times.
considered running like Praetor's Grasp?
Uh, yeah, it's something I've definitely thought about, but I mean, part of me not playing it is really just that I play. I mean, we're all stuck behind a screen right now,
Yeah,
and Praetor's grasping on uh on webcam is a pain in the ass, to put it lightly. But again, I keep referencing the game last night because it was so eye opening. But uh, opposition agent happened, and the fellow who cast it was saying, okay, well, do you have this in your deck? How about this? How about this? Rather than just going through it or looking at a deck
yeah,
list. And we were like, oh my god, this game has turned into CEDH Go Fish,
yeah.
which
It can
which is
happen.
hysterical. And then he used the opposition agent to take a Thassa's Oracle. So it really turned into CEDH Go Fish, and it brought down
Yeah,
the fucking house. We were all
that's
crying
awesome.
laughing. So
Yeah, well, I was thinking that, right? Like, you could definitely exile your whole deck, right? And if you don't have enough CMC in your deck, you just steal a Thassa's Oracle with Praetor's Grasp and, win
yep.
that way. That's like definitely, or even just like steal uh, I don't know, like some other combo piece or something like that. I can see that being useful.
Yeah, so it hasn't happened in a while, but there's been times when I've gotten the Necrotic Ooze combo off and I killed 2 players, and I'll be removing cards from the top of the library and realize, like, okay, this person is in the single digits and I've only got 7 cards left in my library. I don't know that I can kill this person. I'm gonna have to go into I'm gonna have to stop and try to kill this person with combat damage. And I'll have like Meren out and 2 creatures and maybe a couple creatures in the graveyard. And I'll just have to go into, we call it Protean Hulk beats at that time, at that
Yeah,
point. I'll have to
I've
get a
been there.
Protean Hulk out there and just start punching for 6,
I've
you
I
know?
you know I've played a lot of games like that. I won a game a few months ago. Oh, actually, it was on Rebel's YouTube channel where I Vampire tutored for a Faber Welder because I knew that was the biggest creature in my deck, and
Yep.
I beat people to death with Faber Welder. It was sick.
Yep.
So
Sometimes you got to go there, and it's like uh, I had a game recently where Micaius was that intimidate is clutch. Intimidate is massive
oh,
off
that's
of
sick.
Micaius.
I never thought about that. Also, he gives all your creatures +1/+1, which is like really relevant in those long games, right?
Super crazy. Yep. It was that buff was amazing. Sadly, Meren doesn't get the buff because she is a human, but
Boo.
but it's still something.
Yeah.
So what else we got? We got more hands to go through.
Yeah, sure. So we have Delver, Phyrexian Delver, Entomb, Elves of Deep Shadow, Jewel Lotus, Spore Frog, Chrommox, Oakham Adversary. This hand's like,
That hand's hysterical. I love that hand. I would normally Jeweled Lotus is a new addition, obviously, and I was thinking about it. And I was like, I don't know about this Jeweled Lotus, but that's a turn 1 Meren. Um,
it's
so
also,
it,
I think it's better as a turn 2 Mirren, right? Because, like, you just, you just, like, you exiled the Spore Frog, you play the Elves of Deep Shadow, right? Now on turn 2, you can decide if you want to play Mirren or Oakham Adversary, you
yep,
know? Like, I feel like, that's better, right?
yeah. It's also good. I love it. This hand is really funny. I definitely would keep this hand because keeping
Yeah.
there's also keeping a no lander is that's never punished. It's big clout keeping a no
If you
hander. I
draw the
gotta
land,
love
then you
it.
get to do both.
Yep.
That's the fun part. And you have Entombed Delver, so you actually have like um, a
Yeah,
significant part of a combo here.
yeah, you could do some goofy stuff with that. And so Okame is a newer edition. It doesn't resolve that often, but it's a nice little value piece. It's nice to
Oh,
have a
it's pretty
dude out
good,
there, right?
especially with Death Touch. It's quite strong.
And Sport, I would, geez, yeah, because I guess you need the green to cast all those things. Because my
Yeah,
first
you got
thought is
it.
exile the Delver, to the Chrome
Nah,
Mox,
you
but
got
then
it. It's got to
then
be
you don't
Spore
get to
Frog.
play the elves. So,
Yeah, it's got to be Spore Frog. Sadly.
um, but yeah, that hand's awesome.
Yeah,
That's a
this
blast.
is a greedy keep. I think it's fair to call this one a greedy keep. All right, let's do one more 7. Desert Shaman, Chains of Mephistopheles, Eternal Witness, Noxious Survival, Strip Mine, Victimized Triskelion. I don't
Nope,
know about this one.
skip it. That's not good.
Bajuka
Ooh.
Bog, Triskelion, Yawgmoth's Nether Void, Forest, Chains, Root Maze.
Turn
This
1 Root
is
Maze, hard to go wrong. If I'm
Yeah,
going
turn 1 Root
first, that's
Maze. Yeah, especially because then you can just play the Chains on turn 3.
yep, because
That's
Jukabog's coming out
funky.
tapped anyway. So and then yeah, Chains turn 3 is everybody's miserable. Everybody's bummed out about that. In the worst case scenario, Chains is eating up a piece of interaction, right? Like somebody counters Chains. Okay, good. Good job using your counterspell.
I don't think they will. I think they'll just let it happen. The rest of
So
the cards are kind of awkward. Although if you can get another Void out, that's pretty silly too.
yeah, the rest of the cards are big, like super awkward. But and this is one of those hands where like I will greedily keep this hand because turn 1 Root Maze is in my brain is a win con
Yeah,
and
it's pretty. There's a
some
lot of decks that can't do a lot into that.
sometimes it'll bite me in the ass, and sometimes and so it's like those games where I do it and I lose, it's like everybody's kind of mad at me. But the games where I turn one root maze and it stays around and I end up winning, everybody's like, I'm really glad you won that game because otherwise I would have been fucking pissed at you.
Yeah, I definitely can understand that. When someone plays a turn one root maze and I just look at both fetch lands in my hand and the rocks in my hand, I just like I boil over.
Yep.
It's not fun.
It
All right.
turns fetch lands into the worst. Like just the worst lands. Like
Oh yeah, it's
worse than
awful.
bad.
It's I'd rather see. I had a game the other day with a root maze and an opposition agent in play, and I was more mad about the root maze. I'll put it that way. So it can happen.
And
Yasharn
so
is Yasharn is a brutal deck. You should try that. I think you'd really like it. If you like Meren, I think you'd like Yasharn
I'll have to
because
take a peek at it.
it's it's hog wild, as they say. It's the last greedy keeps we did. Anytime that you have it out on turn one off a Jewel Lotus, no fetches, no necropotence, no life payment. Get out of here. It's crazy.
I'm gonna definitely have to take a look into it.
Yeah.
So, but this is a turn one root maze is a greedy keep for me for
All
sure.
right. Sick. Okay. So that will be the end of our greedy keeps. Thank you so much, Alan, for coming on, discussing your the love of your life, Meren of the Clan Nel Toth.
She's the filthy Meren. That's that bitch for sure. She's out here. She's ready to cause some trouble for sure at all times.
Yeah.
I
I've
thank you for having me.
yeah. I just want to say like I've played against Meren. Like I think I've played against it every year for like 3 years. I think we've been going to GPs together, meeting each other up in New Jersey. So it is a real come around getting to finally do a greedy keeps on this deck, especially after all the games we've played. And so I'm really happy we finally got to do this. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, it's an absolute pleasure. And if I can shill for just a second, of course. So part of you, some of you guys might know me for doing this stream, this mental misplay stream. It's really started out of kind of one, being a charitable endeavor, and two, kind of putting a more friendly face on CEDH. You know, like for better or worse, there is a stigma behind CEDH. You know, some people kind of frown at it for being fast, being competitive, being serious, being optimized. And something that I really try to do is bring fun into it. You know, even though I'm playing soul crushing stacks pieces, I'm going to be laughing and trying to get everybody else to have a
Yeah,
good time the whole time.
I think you and
And
I just want to say like you and I definitely I think we approached the game pretty differently. I think we had a discussion beforehand about it, but I think you're a great force in the community. Like I really mean that. You're fucking excellent.
thank you so much, man. I
So
really appreciate that. And
yeah,
that's what I was going to say is, guys, to everybody out there right now who's stuck at home, who doesn't get to go to Friday Night Magic, keep an eye on Mental Misplay. If you've got a dollar you were going to spend on Doritos at Friday Night Magic, or if you haven't spent all your money trying to crack that Jeweled Lotus, pull up on the stream and donate to a good cause. We switch it up every 2 weeks, and we're trying to help where we can. So, guys, I know you're out there. Pull up, show Ramp Gang some love, and yeah, we'll see you out there.
yeah.
Braden, so much for having me. This was a real
Oh
treat.
yeah.
Absolutely a
I had a
pleasure. And
blast. So thank
like
you.
you said, a long time in the making. Definitely a long time coming. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if we scheduled it 100%, but I might be showing up on this Tuesday, so that'll be the day after this video comes out.
I think I'm gonna make an effort to get you out there.
All right.
I think you got a seat this time.
All right, sick. I've been waiting. I've been patient. Finally getting my seat at the table. Finally get to play some Corvold on stream. Very excited.
It should be a good time.
All right. Thank you so much, Alan. Thank everyone who watched. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night. Have a good one. See ya.
My pleasure. Be good.